What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Making Podcasts Great Again. I am your tech stuff guy, Jay Nog, and we are here, of course, with the President of the United States of Mar-a-Lago of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, how are you today? Happy belated Thanksgiving. What's going on?
I'm just sending out a truth, if you don't mind interrupting strong truthing. And that is why we never serve dark meat at Trump Thanksgiving. And truth. Okay. Hello, tech.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was, I wish it was better, to be honest. I always come in very strong, very tough, and I am, of course. But I was disappointed this Thanksgiving because Melanoma said she wanted to cook because she wanted to give her son Beetlejuice a very authentic Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really, we have strong Trump traditions. Every Patreon person probably knows that in 2020, it's still legendary, the Fred Trump Thanksgiving tradition, but we're not going to talk about it here because you have to go to the Patreon. But then Mashed Potatoes said she had a special tradition in Transylvania that she wanted Barton to be part of. And so I made the mistake of saying, okay, darling, you can cook your food. And in Transylvania, they don't do turkey because they didn't have Indians, or we have to call them Native Americans, N-word Americans, as I call them, because I don't like to say Native. I think it's rude. But anybody born here is Native. I'm Native American. That's where I was born. I was born here. It's called strong patriotism. But so she says, I'll do traditional Transylvania Thanksgiving, Donald. And they have a very different tradition there because in Transylvania, it's the time that the whore saved the town from Dracula by having strong sex with him. And then he spared the town. And so that's their Transylvanian Thanksgiving. So what they do is they serve bloody bat is the main course. Instead of turkey, it's bloody bat. So it looked like a squirrel having an abortion is what it looked like. It was one of the most atrocious plates I've ever seen. And she comes out of the kitchen very proud, holding bloody bat. And the sides are garlic because, the
Right.
Dracula, and fish, raw fish, because it smells like the prostitute's undercarriage, if we'll be so it's a very nasty meal. And she comes out and you have a plate of raw fish and it's stinking up the place, and you have a bloody bat that looks like a squirrel giving birth to a monster, and garlic. So you can imagine it's making Mar-a-Lago smell like a pile of shit. And you should have seen her son Bixby. He scarfed down that. This is a big kid. This kid's about 7'5" now. And this kid, you should have seen, he went right for the bloody bat. And it was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. And by the end, he looked like he'd gone down on a 50-foot tall woman during that time of the month. His whole face was covered in bat blood. And Myanmar was so proud. She was standing there in her heels and topless because it's part of the Transylvanian whore Thanksgiving tradition. She's standing there topless in heels, tearing up, watching her son, Billy, just consume the bloody bat. And it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was a true disgrace. And I will say this, if I was still in the White House where I belong, we would have had a traditional White House Thanksgiving. They would have done the turkey, the stuffing, mashed potatoes, corn, apple pie, pumpkin pie, no sweet potato pie. You know who likes that? You know who likes the sweet potato pie? Not in my house. No, thank you. And instead, because an election was stolen, I had nothing to be thankful for. Her son Brendan had a face full of bloody bat And I'm sitting there wanting to vomit because I can't even have a normal turkey Thanksgiving. And it's because of what this country did. They stole an election. And so I was not thankful for anything this Thanksgiving.
Was the whole family there? Was Tiffany and her new husband there? Was Ivanka
Oh,
there with the family? Tiffany, the one who
well,
you
no,
did the
okay.
whole package for.
Yeah, the daddy package at Mar-a-Lago doesn't extend to Thanksgiving unless you're getting married on Thanksgiving.
Was Ivanka there?
Ivanka was
Was
in
Dan Jr.
Egypt.
there?
Dan Jr. was skiing the slopes with Kim Gargoyle, and I don't mean actually skiing. I mean doing mounds of cocaine. And what was who's the other person? Ivanka
Hmm.
was with Kushner. They were in like Egypt. They were like touring the world, trying to act like they're very cosmopolitan. Oh, we're very fancy. We travel the world. Well, you know what? You're tall and skinny, Jared Kushner, and I hope some of those Africans, maybe take care of you. It wouldn't be the worst thing to have that happen, to be honest.
Well, I have a question for you.
How was your
Oh,
Thanksgiving?
it was good. Thank you for
That was
asking.
just no, that was a rhetorical question. That was you should have known that's a joke. Obviously, you have
So I
a
answered really
radical left
quickly.
sense of humor. You've probably canceled comedy.
Um, Now this is all over the news. You recently had a dinner party in Mar-a-Lago, and it was you, Kanye, and a young gentleman by the name of Nick Fuentes.
And yet they say, and yet they say, "Oh, sir, you're so racist, sir. Oh, you're racist." That's what the left loves to say. They love to say I'm racist. Well, here I am having a post-Thanksgiving meal with a black and a Fuentes. Doesn't sound too racist. Sounds like somebody very comfortable with other people. So I had a yay and a Fuentes. We're having a strong meal with their president, and they would say that's racist. The real Thanksgiving, there were only two races: natives and
Mhm.
whites. And yet I'm here having a meal with African Americans and Fuentes Americans.
Now, do you know anything about this gentleman, Nick Fuentes?
I know he's a fan of mine. I know he's a patriot. I know he's very passionate and has a lot of followers. He has a strong following on the dark web, which I think is they call it Black Twitter. I think
He's
those
a
are the same things.
he's a Holocaust denier.
Well, what do you want him to be? A Holocaust doer? Would you rather that he do
No,
the
he doesn't think he
Holocaust?
doesn't he doesn't think the Holocaust happened. He thinks the Holocaust is a lie. He's an anti-Semite. He doesn't like Jews. Doesn't I mean, I'm surprised he was hanging out with Kanye.
Oh,
That's strange.
I think Tiffany just showed it. I know. I think Tiffany's here. She doesn't understand that the Platinum Daddy package is not in effect. Uh, is okay. So let's take those. You said he doesn't like the Jews.
Right. He's an
Well,
anti-Semite.
okay, so we'll just okay. So we're calling everybody an anti-Semite now.
No, but he's like
Everybody's an
known.
anti-Semite.
He's known. He's like proud of it. He's said that he is an anti-Semite. He said he's a Holocaust denier. It's not people saying about him. It's him coming out and saying this about himself. And you had
Okay,
dinner with
so
him. And
no, I did have dinner with him,
what'd you guys
and
eat?
we ate matzo ball soup of all things. That's very interesting. Uh, I would say we're looking into it if what you're saying is true. And I'm not saying, excuse me, I'm not saying what you're saying is false. That's what the left does. They would cancel you. If what you're saying is true, I will look into it. We don't support anti semantics. Okay, we don't support that. And we're gonna look into it. But he was very polite at dinner. And he was nice to Kanye as well. That doesn't seem sort of white supremacist to be. First of all, I thought his name was Fuentes, so I said, "Well, Fuentes can't be white supremacist." And he was very polite and very supportive of me, and he knows that I have a Jewish daughter named Ivanka.
Well, Mr. President, you're a very smart man. brilliant.
I will say, now that you mention it, though, it did give me pause when he did say he'd love to titty fuck her Jew tits. I thought that was like a new phrase that the kids were saying. Like, I don't keep up with all the slang. So when he said titty fuck the Jew tits, I thought, is that like juju fruits at the movie theater where you get the candy? Or, do you know those? You ever heard of
I know
those?
what you're talking about. But as I was saying, you're a brilliant man.
Oh, well,
Kan-
finally, we have a tech stuff person that finally shows respect. How about that?
and Kanye West, you have spoken about Kanye in the past, how maybe he is not the most stable person in the world. Now he invites you to dinner with another gentleman, and knowing that Kanye is kind of gone off the deep end the last few months with all the things he said, wouldn't you look into who that other guest is, knowing Kanye's reputation the last few months?
What Kanye needs right now is a friend. He needs support. And if I say to him, "Yay, I need to know who you're bringing. I need a background check. He'll take it as an insult and it might make him even more unstable. So I wanted to make him feel welcome. It's called friendship. You should look into it. It's called friendship. And I was being a strong friend. I was being really a great friend. And nobody says that. Nobody reports Trump being a great friend. Everybody wants to turn it into the Fuentes show. And it wasn't the Fuentes show. It was the Kanye and Trump show featuring Nick Fuentes. Yeah, like a guest track on the it's not his album. It's my album, produced by Ye, featuring guest vocals about the Jews by Nick Fuentes. So I really don't understand the problem. I think obviously I said, we'll look into it. We'll look into what Nick Fuentes is about. But I didn't want to insult Kanye because I thought what he needs is acceptance. He needs friendship. If he wants to bring a friend to see his other friend, Donald J. Trump, then he can do that. And now maybe next time I'll say, maybe Nick Fuentes shouldn't come with you this time. But he said nothing offensive to me or about Ivanka or even Jared Kushner. And I told him he had a free pass to insult Jared Kushner. But we'll look into it. I think that's unlike the left. I'm very open to looking into things.
Do you think Kanye needs a doctor or a friend more?
I think he needs a doctor friend.
Good answer.
Or somebody with a PhD in friendship. How about that?
Can you get a PhD in friendship? I never heard of that.
Well, we offer it at Trump University, so yes, the answer is yes.
Does Idaho Militia offer major in friendship?
I think they only offer an associate's degree in friendship. So you can transfer those courses. If you do the 2-year program at Idaho Militia Christian Bible Tech State College, you can transfer those credits over to Trump University, get your 4-year degree in friendship, get a master's in friendliness, and then you can get the PhD in friendship. And the final exam is you watch the show Friends.
If Kanye called you tonight and said, "Listen, we didn't get to finish what we're talking about at dinner the other night. Nick and I are going to come over for round 2," what would your answer be?
Well, I first have to make sure I didn't say the N word because the way you said it very quickly, it's like it might have been the soft A. Like, I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to.
No, I said Nick and I are going to come over for round 2.
I would say, okay, come on over for round 2.
I thought you just said 2 minutes ago how maybe he wouldn't come over the
Well, I
next
haven't had
time.
time. You just said he's calling me right now. I don't have time to look into Nick Fuentes.
But I've just told you about who Nick Fuentes
No,
is.
you said what you think Nick Fuentes is. I said
No,
I'm going to look into it. I'm going to
that's
do
who
my own
he says he
research.
is.
Is he him?
He is him.
Do you mean it like him or like the blacks say on Twitter where they say him, like an athlete does something good and they say him?
No, not like that.
Well, Rudley with the hardest R possible, if he's listening to this, I think he appreciates this because he uses him a lot. He's become sort of my African American tutor in that guy versus him, which are two of the strong terms we use in sports to describe people. But I would say Nick Fuentes, I haven't been able to do my research. Okay, I've heard your opinion, and you gave me your information, and I said very politely, well, I'll take that into consideration and I'll do my own research now that to confirm what you're saying, but I haven't had a chance to confirm it. So I'm not going to reject Kanye's friend Nick and I.
Do you think that you could invite two other people over for dinner that would cause more angry people out there? A more angry mob? Can you think of two living people who you can invite to dinner
Sure.
would make people more livid?
Marjorie Taylor Greene and Vlad Putin.
That's a good combo.
And then they make a sex tape during the meal. And we put that on Truth Social for 19.99. We call it putting it in Marjorie's green.
Now, Mr. President, before we get back,
You get Putin like Putin, but we spell it Putin. Putin it
I
in
got you.
Marjorie's green. Okay.
I like it.
Oh, it's very strong.
You could also
Sponsor.
film it on the golf course. It's got
No,
putt in
now you've
there,
ruined it. Now you've
green,
ruined it. I said it was
putt,
no, excuse
green,
me. I said it was
green
during
putt.
dinner. We don't eat dinner on the golf course. You ruined
Okay.
it.
I ruined it. Now, Mr. President, a former guest of ours is on another reality show. You don't really get along with the man. He used to work for you for a short period of time. Anthony
Very short because
Scaramucci.
he's not very short because he's not tall.
That's right. And he is on a reality show now, and I want to see what you think of it. It comes from the UK where it's called Special Forces The Ultimate Test, and they train you to be in the special forces and see if
No, I
you
think
have what it takes.
now my guess is it's for special needs.
It says special forces. Would you like
But
to
I
know?
think that's the new. I think that's the new left-wing term instead of special needs because that got made fun of too much. Now they say, "Oh look, we're going to a special forces school." Yeah, it makes sort of seem stronger. Very tough. Good job, Timmy. You're in the special forces.
Would you like to know who else is on this show? A few people, a few
No, but I have a feeling
ex-athletes.
you're going to tell me. I have a feeling you're going to share. So go ahead and
Former
share.
former great Mike Piazza is on the show. Former NBA All-Star Dwight Howard is on the show. Dr. Drew is on the show, and Mel B from the Spice Girls and America's Got Talent is on the show also. Those are just four
I love how
randoms.
you. I love how you're going woke and not calling her what her real name is. Scary Spice. We
Scary
discussed
Spice.
this. We discussed this, I think, either on a Patreon or on a regular episode a long time ago. But you know, they say I'm racist, but the Spice Girls called the black one scary. Tell me what's racist. She's a lovely lady. I think that's not a group of super talented people, to be honest. Um, who was it before Mel B?
Dwight Howard, Dr. Drew, Mike
Dr.
Piazza.
Drew. We should get Dr. Drew to run for the Senate somewhere. I have a feeling that he's the TV doctor that will finally make a strong senator. They just have to cover up all the people he killed in celebrity rehab.
Dr. Drew seems like a nice guy from what I've seen from him on TV, but and what
Well,
I've
then
heard from him, but who knows?
let's run him. Let's run him for the Senate.
Let's do it. Are you excited for Herschel's runoff?
Well, I mean, I've seen Warcock run, and he's not too fast. So I'm pretty sure that Herschel's got this one in the bag.
Have you spoken to Herschel recently?
Uh, I speak at Herschel because he knows not to look me in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk to him, he shows very good respect. And he comes into a room and he just says, "Everything okay, boss?" And I say, "Good boy, Herschel." And I say, "Go win that Senate, will you?" And that's it. It's very
Hmm.
respectful.
All right. What do you think about Anthony Scaramucci being on this reality show? It is kind of like a patriotic reality show, I guess. Do you think he needs the attention, or he's doing this because it is patriotic, like I said before, being in the special forces? What do you think his angle is?
Well, I think his angle is that he's very big into crypto and crypto is failing. So now he wants to get special forces skills so that when people attack his house because he told them to do crypto, he can, stab them and shoot them and defend his home because a lot of people don't like crypto. I was very early into saying I don't trust crypto, and crypto went zippo.
You
Bye
were
bye.
always against crypto, Mr. President.
I was.
Yeah.
Finally, somebody recognized it. This is it. Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, if he even knows what crypto, he probably thinks that crypto is someplace that he goes to sleep.
It is a possibility. It is a possibility. I don't think Sleepy Joe got into the crypto game either, or at least not publicly.
Oh, he doesn't even know how to use cash.
You don't think he knows how to
He's
use an ATM?
he still thinks he has to barter. You should see him. He goes into a McDonald's and says, "I give you this necktie for a Big Mac, Jack."
He tries to trade livestock.
I got this Hunter Biden right here, Jack. I'll trade you his laptop for two egg McMuffins. Come on, man.
Well, Mr. President, I want to talk to you about a few more stories, and then I'm going to let you go. I know you're a very busy man. Um, Kari Lake, she lost, and
Horse.
now you've recently come out and said that she should be installed as Arizona governor. She really
I don't
won.
do, excuse me, I don't do cancel culture on this podcast, as you know,
Right.
but I have to set some rules. And one of the rules is that Kari Lake won Arizona, just the way I won Arizona in 2020. Kari Lake won it in 2022. And that when you're on this podcast, it's one of the things that I won't tolerate is false Arizona talk. So she won.
But the numbers say differently. How it's just I don't understand.
Well, you're gonna make me use the old analogy that I always like to do.
Yes.
Arizona iced tea,
I do know Arizona iced tea.
and they make their cans, great cans in Arizona. You go to Arizona, you're gonna see a lot of great cans, but no greater cans than the Arizona iced tea cans, and they print the price on the can. We did
Mm-hmm.
this many years ago. I was obviously a different tech stuff person, but they put the price, and then you go into one of these nasty Korean stores, and they try to put a sticker over the price. It says 99 cents, and they put a sticker that says 159. That's what the Democrats are doing. It's 99 cents for Kari Lake, but Democrats come in like aggressive Korean grocers and go 159. And all of a sudden, you want me to respect that code? No, no. I would say, just the way I say to the Korean grocers, I say, I'll have you evicted out of this neighborhood if you put any of these nasty price tags over the areas. It's called iced tea law. And if it says it on the can, that's the price. You can't upgrade. And that's what the Democrats in Arizona, they're disrespecting the iced tea and Kari Lake by doing this. She won. She won strongly. She's patriotic. She's got a nice trim TV body. And, we'll see what happens.
Well said, Mr. President. Before we get to
Nope.
our next story, This Wednesday, November 30th at 8:30 p.m., we do have our live rally to save podcasts for our Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots. The invite will go out tomorrow. Again, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's Wednesday night, and we have special guest Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor of Arkansas, will be here.
Governor.
Governor Sarah Big Huckabee Sanders will be here. And I'm very excited to see her. I haven't seen her in a while. She's going to be here for the Rally to Save podcast, and that is for our Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots. So if you have not joined this past week, had some Perfect 10s come in, join. You're not going to want to miss this Rally to Save podcast on Wednesday the 30th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Did you say we'll be discussing also the 2022 EPIs?
We will be discussing the 2022 EPI nominations, and we will be taking nominations from Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots.
Yeah.
Two stories left here, Mr. President. I know you've been fighting this in court. The IRS will be sending your tax returns over to Congress. You have blasted the Supreme Court saying that your tax returns should not be released. And why hasn't Joe Biden's tax returns been released for prior years as well that you want to see? How you feeling about this? It's going to be public knowledge soon.
What the radical left Supreme Court has done is a total disgrace. This was all set up by John Roberts, fake raging Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, Sam a liar, and Clarence Thomas's English muffins. This was a setup by all of them. They took away the women's right to abortion, not because they're pro-life. They're not pro-life like me. I'm pro-life. I'm more pro-life than all of them combined. No, what they did was they just took away abortion to distract people from the real crime, which was forcing my tax returns into the hands of Democrats and fake law officers. So this has been a setup the whole time. A radical left Supreme Court faked like they hate abortion, just so they would have cover to then just try to destroy me. But it's not going to work, because when they try to hold those tax returns up, I'm going to dump a bunch of whiteout on the forms.
That good old trick. So you've already thought of that.
And that's, edit that out. I don't want them knowing the strong strategy. But no, that's what they. Once again, I say it every time. They're playing checkers, and I'm playing Go Fish.
Now, are you angry at Raging Brett?
I don't think there's anybody other than big game Mike Pence. I don't think there's anybody I've been more disappointed in than fake raging. We call them fake raging now because it's all show.
Fagin.
Oh, I dare you to pronounce that G like a hard G.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, woke. We have a woke tech stuff. But he's a real fake rager. And we put him on the court. We stood by him. He was accused of raping women and sexual assault. And we stood by him. In fact, we liked that about him. And we supported him very strongly. And he's rewarded that very bold. That's not your normal support. You see how Clarence Thomas is most of the time very strong with me?
Yeah.
Because Republicans stood by him when he was accused of things that he did. We stood by him. We stood by Raging Brett, who's a fake rager with a hard R, by the way. And he rewards us by turning his back on us. So Clarence turned his back on us as well, and we didn't have to talk to him. But Raging Brett was my own choice. I put him on the Supreme Court, and he's shown no loyalty whatsoever, except fake raging.
You think there's any shot of Raging Brett coming on Wednesday to this rally, maybe to
Oh, when you at
explain
first
himself?
when you said is there a chance of fake raging to come, I thought yeah, probably against some woman's will right now. But we can ask if he can make a brief appearance.
Okay.
I'm not so thrilled about him, but I don't like to be in the same room as him. That's why I think maybe him doing a bonus episode is more likely. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
We don't do cancel culture, so I'll let him speak in himself. Maybe on the live episode, maybe another time.
Last thing I want to talk to you about. Have you been watching the World Cup?
I have been flipping channels, and I caught. Well, what I did catch is that the United States, once great United States, who by the way never lost and never tied a World Cup game when I was president. You ever notice that? They don't bring that up. They didn't have one loss. They didn't even have a tie. That's how dominant they were when I was president. And now all of a sudden, all we do is tie, which is like we weren't even there. Not even a loss. It's like we don't exist. We've 2 ties. Sounds like a rapper.
2 times. It's definitely boring for sure. But
And
if we win tomorrow, we are into the next round.
And I might do more analysis. I think the Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots, I think they enjoyed strong soccer analysis for me. I talked about that very strongly on a bonus video. But most of you wouldn't know that because you're radical F people who the economy has destroyed your bank accounts and your 401ks. And then that hurts us. And that's why Sleepy Joe wants to ruin the economy tech stuff. It's called trickle-down Bidenomics. And what he does is he ruins the economy, and then patriots who otherwise would sign up for strong Patreon content, they go, I would have, sir, but the sleepy economy has destroyed me. And that was his goal. I think that's been his goal the whole time, is to take out our Patreon, but we're still going strong.
Well, the talk of the World Cup right now is the Japanese team. They had a huge upset, and they upset Germany 1-0.
And battle of my 2 favorite World War II countries.
And what they have been doing after their team plays, they have been staying after the game and cleaning up the whole entire stadium. Now, I want to know your thoughts on this. Shinzo is no longer with us, so I'm wondering, do you think whoever the leader is of Japan right now is forcing his people to do this so they look good? Or do you think he's threatening them if they don't do this? Or do you think this is just out of the goodwill of the Japanese people?
I will say this as somebody who was obviously strong friends with Shinzo Abe, one of my best friends, a great leader, a great person. Got along with everybody. Was a strong, smart leader, but nice and respectful. And I can say that is the Japanese culture. That is, I don't think anybody's forcing. I think they're raised with respect and decency, and it's a beautiful culture. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And because I remember when I visited, my last visit to see Shinzo, rest in power, I was going to the bathroom, and he said, "No, don't. You that one's broken." Well, he said, "Okay, yeah, I know you want it in honor of Shinzo." Oh, that one broken. Go over there. And he pointed me to the bathroom that was working. And what was beautiful about that is, you know how they have the toilets that like the bidet, like they like clean your ass.
Yep.
And well, they just had a person in there.
He just pee on them.
They called him Jin Bidet. And what he would do is he would just get under your ass when you were done and fill his mouth up with water and spray water, and he would catch, the stuff would come flying on his face afterwards. But Jin Bidet, it was an incredibly great person, because the toilet was not working, but that was Shinzo's way of saying he was giving me extra respect, because the mechanical one was broken, so he said use that one, which was also broken, but he knew Jin Bidet was in there, and he took like half a gallon of water, and you should have seen his cheeks. And he said to me,
Like a hamster.
he had to write on a pad. He had to write on a pad, tap my shoulder when you are done, sir. And then when I had ripped out the final, when I do a number three, we've talked about this. I don't do number twos; they're so big. I call them number threes. And I tapped him on the shoulder, and he just went. And I've never had a cleaner asshole in my life. Not once, not ever. And I say that to honor both Shinzo and Jin Bidet. And it was a wonderful experience. And so what I'm saying is that is the Japanese culture. They're a proud people, they're a courteous people, they're a clean people. And I think this is just, they're showing the world who they are as Japanese people. So thank you, Shinzo, rest in power. And thank you, Jin Bidet, also rest in power, because I had lied. Unfortunately, I wasn't done. I didn't lie, but I didn't realize I still had more in the tank. And when he was done spraying the water, a big loaf fell down and choked him to death. It hit right because he was wide open. So it went right down the throat and clogged his throat. And he died with a Trump turd lodged in his throat. But he was
He died by death by number three.
It was death by number three. It's worse than death by chocolate. And that's how he went out. But that's the Japanese people. They're great people. We respect them greatly.
Oh, what a story. Thank you, Mr. President. To our listeners out there, yes.
If you enjoyed this podcast and you don't join the Patreon after this for the December to remember content, I don't really want to know you anymore. That's the truth. We have a new test for loyalty. Okay. I almost want to rename the Mike Pence levels and the Ivanka levels because they haven't been sufficiently loyal. We're going to look into that for 2023, possibly renaming levels.
Renaming levels, not a bad idea.
I'm talking to everybody out there. Go join the DeSantis podcast. If you can't support this one, go join DeSuckass and his Patreon and his podcast. We need loyal soldiers. We need strong soldiers. Show your loyalty in December.
Also, this Wednesday, the 30th of November at 8:30 p.m., join us for the live Rally to Save podcast with special guest Big Huck, Governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Again, that is this Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Invites will go out tomorrow, and sign up for that. If you are in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area this Friday and Saturday, I will be there at 8 p.m. shows with the hilarious Mike Keegan. And I will also be in January with some comic named J.L. Colvan at the Brokerage Comedy Club. And that will be January 6th and January 7th, the 6th at 8 o'clock, the 7th at 7 p.m. at Brokerage Comedy Club in Belmore out on Long Island. That's it from here. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Very strong. I don't think people should go to that Long Island show. Hey, everybody. What's up? Thank you for listening. You've already stopped listening, but so I'll make this quick. Live shows. And thanks to folks who came out in Syracuse before Thanksgiving, but live shows, folks. December 17th in Mamaroneck at the, I want to say, Emmeline Theater. It's on my website. December 17th, Mamaroneck. Oh yeah, this actually December 3rd. If you're in New York City and you don't mind staying up late, I'm on a fun show on the Upper West Side at 11 p.m. That's for our young fans. And by young, I mean 75 and younger. 11 p.m. show this Saturday in New York. Info is on my website, ticket link on my website, December 17th, Mamaroneck. January 6th and 7th, the aforementioned Long Island shows with the Tech Stuff Guy at the Brokerage in Belmore. And then January 19th, Pittsburgh Improv. So that's what I've got on the schedule right now. Obviously, go to my website, check out my other podcast each week, Righteous PK. And if you've got money to spare, which a lot of you don't even have money to spare for this one, but if you're a super fan, and you want more stuff, I got my own Patreon. But besides that, keep listening to this show. Give us 5 stars for God's sakes. We've been stagnant on the reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts. It's crazy, guys. we should legitimately be at like 3,000 ratings and reviews. So if you haven't done that and you don't have the money for Patreon, that's what you should do. That if
Helps
you
with the
seriously
algorithm.
don't, yeah, you can help us in ways that cost $0. And the best way is to give the best way is to share the show with a friend, but the second best way is to give it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. But as Christmas approaches, December is going to be phenomenal. The Eppies, we always see a big uptick in signups around the Eppies. So get on the Patreon now. You'll enjoy it. I've talked too long. God help us all.